Hello and welcome to Real Talk. You have found yourself at Brave Moms Academy Live. We have a very special guest for you today. Here you are on this channel where we talk about emotional health for Christian women and specifically how that impacts their relationship with their kids, with their spouse, and with their purpose and their calling. So, we are dismantling lies that you've believed about God that have held you back. These are things that if you've believed them, you might feel anxious or guilty or second guess yourself. Your heart rate might go up because you know there's a pending conflict. You are in the right place. We're going to talk about how to be the real you, which is the person God will use to flood the world around you and change everything about what's going on. Some of you are here because you're struggling with disrespectful kids. Some of you are here because there is distance and tension in your marriage that y'all can't seem to break through. Whatever the reason, you're in the right place. And today, something very special is going to happen. My dear friend, Sarah, is going to share with us about what God has done in her family by getting a hold of her emotional health. So I'm going to introduce her here in a second. If you're ready, Sarah, tell us, just tell us a little bit about your family and what was going on before you came to Brave Moms Academy.
Yeah, okay. So I have three kids, from 9 down to 4, and a husband. And life was pretty chaotic and wild, and we loved it for a while. But I was carrying myself and everybody else all the time, and meeting everybody else's needs above my own. And we had a lot of things happen in our family, and circumstances happen, and it all just became so much that I started dropping everything. For a while, I was able to kind of hold it all and manage it all, and it kind of worked, and life felt kind of okay. And then when we reached that point where more and more happened, I wasn't able to hold it all, and it all basically came crashing down. And my own self and my own things, my own relationships, my own health, my own sanity also dropped also. And that led me to BMA.
What does that look like? First, you said a couple of really important things. I know that as a Christian wife and a Christian mom, I was going to put everybody first. And I felt so confused that while I was putting everybody first, I was not experiencing the joy of Jesus. It wasn't like following him and putting everybody first. I thought I was following him because I was begging him for help. But really, I think what I was doing was trying to be somebody. I think I was trying to live up to a standard of a Christian woman that I had in my head. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like for you? Like putting everybody else first or carrying it all for everybody, what that looked like?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like from a Christian standpoint, I thought that following God being everything meant me being completely out of the picture. And that my needs and my personality and myself were not part of the equation at all. And so all of my decisions, all of my day-to-day life, all of the thoughts in my head were like, what would please God, or what do I need to do to obey God in this situation? And then what are all these other people's needs that I need to meet? So other people's emotions, keeping everyone happy, trying to figure out what my children needed, how to heal their special needs, traumatic things they had been through, how to keep my house just right, how to manage conflicts and keep everybody doing what I knew would be best and most life-giving to them, and just pouring out and out and out until there was truly nothing left, is what I thought that following God was.
Oh my gosh, you say it so well. Like every time I hear you talk, you say it so well. I thought that's what it was to follow God too. Um, I wasn't part of the picture. It was like, crucify me, like not my will, but your will be done. Less of me, more of you. Like I was like a radical. Would you have called yourself like a radical for Jesus?
Yes, definitely. And
Yes.
like the idea of my own needs, and thinking not thinking that it was so so like tricky in my mind because I wasn't thinking necessarily that I could do it all, but I just thought that God was going to show up and do it all if I just like put myself completely out there. And then when he didn't, it really broke my trust with him. I feel like a lot of suffering had happened before and I still could trust God, but when I completely gave everything to him and it felt like he didn't come through, that was extremely challenging to like reconcile like what is going on. And is this even real? And how can I lead my kids to live this life and to know Jesus? Like there's got to be something missing. Um, and he had never told me to not be me and to cease to have needs. And it got to the point where like I was working full-time night shift and trying to mom during the day. And so I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating well, like my physical body was just completely neglected. And he never asked me to do that. And I put that on him, like that was my view of God and not something that he was requiring me to do. And realizing I would have said that I was completely loved, like as I am, and I would have said all the right things, but I wasn't living it and it wasn't matching, it wasn't integrated in my life. And there was this major like emotional framework piece that was completely missing.
Oh my word. You say it so well. I would love for you to come back again and again on the show because you just articulate it so well. That trade, you talked about like, hey, God, if there's like a deal we make, right? Like, I am in complete agreement with you that I had that was part of my thinking. If I lay down my life, He will swoop in and do all the things. I 100% believed that. And the truth is that he was waiting for me to engage those things. He was waiting for me to engage his love for me. He was waiting for me to engage having some value and some boundaries. He was waiting for me to speak the truth to people. And I was just going to be canceled so that he could move, but that's not how he moves. He moves through us. And also that's so funny because looking back, I thought all the time about being his hands and feet. We would hear this, like we're the hands and feet of Jesus, which means I must have on some level, and I think I did think that Jesus made himself of no value. But that is not what the scripture says. It says he made himself of no reputation, but he was the precious prize of heaven. And he gave and sacrificed himself as the fullness of that value, or he never would have said no to anybody. And he never would have asked anybody to make a decision to follow him. He never would have extended an invitation and asked people, do you want what I have? If he had nothing. So tell us, I'm just, man, everything you say is like gold. And I just want to go off on a tangent on all of it. So I'm going to try to restrain myself. Um, you said you were living this way and then everything really fell apart. You didn't have anything left. Can you just tell us a little bit about what were the behaviors you were doing, the expressions of that in your life? And then how'd you find us? What happened?
Yeah. So I feel like my kids were having really big behaviors, really big needs, really big struggles, and I was trying all the different things. And when things didn't work, I would just try harder at something else, thinking like, okay, maybe this will be the strategy or the thing that I need to be for them to help them. And we were trying to like financially make it work with our, family and just every aspect of life. Like I was trying really hard to like manage my home and manage working full time and all those like different worlds. I was just trying really hard. And it was um, working until it didn't. And some circumstances happened that were out of my control that were really hard and painful. And that felt really scary when it happened because I couldn't control those things. And then I would just try harder to learn more new things that could help my kids or try to get to more appointments, try to get more ideas for a cleaning system for my house to just like stop failing at everything. And I eventually was just so exhausted that I couldn't do anymore. And my own things that mattered to me, that like being responsible or um, being the friend I wanted to be. I just truly didn't even have the capacity to try anymore because I was just completely drained. And I was talking with a dear friend and mentor. We kind of had like a emergency like weekend getaway where I'm like, I just can't do my life. I have to get away. And she took me for a weekend and we were in the car together and I was just bawling and completely undone and was just like, I cannot do this. I can't. And she's like, Sarah, this mindset like is not going to work. You either have to say, how am I going to do it? Or you have to leave. And like, if you just want to leave and go start a different life, like that will be really sad and, but like, I won't judge you for it. But if you are going to be where you are and embrace where you are, you have to say, how am I going to do this? And this friend had been through really, really hard things. And she said, you are going to have to learn to let go of control. If you were going to make it, the how that you do it is going to be letting go of control. And I was like, wow. And that just kind of sat with me the whole weekend. And at the end of our like, I guess it was 24-hour getaway, not a whole weekend. I was realizing like, yeah, okay, I see that. And that really makes sense. And like I want to choose to be in my life. Um, and so then it became like, what does it even look like to let go of control? Because I would try to, and there's still actions you have to take and things you have to do. And so how do I even do that without control? And I went on a walk early morning after our getaway. I was just alone walking through the neighborhood thinking about what she had told me. And I was just praying and asking God, like, okay, this is like a new day and I have no idea where I'm going. And it's really scary. And how do I let go of control? And then when I got home, I was checking my email and a Brave Moms email popped up. And I don't even know how I signed up for it or whatever, but I was on this email list and I clicked on it and it said something like how to like release control of and I was like, so I clicked on it, I watched the video, and it was Katie talking, describing how I felt of just like wanting to hide from my kids all the time and not being able to do my life and wanting my kids to grow up safe and secure and feeling emotionally healthy and not be afraid of me. But also, like, the reality of our home was that my kids were out of control. We had no boundaries. I was trying to be everything for them. And so they were really disrespectful, really entitled. And I was seeing those things come out. And I'm like, that's not going to serve them well to live that way. But I also don't want to be, you know, scary to them or um like controlling. So we had chosen this path of like that had ended up being really permissive. And so Katie talked about that in this video about like how to let go of control while still like a whole new way of safety and communication. And I was like, that is what I need. So then connected with Katie and then made the jump to BMA. And really, yeah, I think also one thing that was a big deal that led up to BMA was realizing that so much of it was me. Like when I dropped, everybody else's things fell apart. And then my own self fell apart and my own like physical health and self-control and emotional, you know, relating to people was just so undone that I was like, something is clearly wrong and I need help. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was a big turning
Wow.
point.
I love this story because, when I woke up this morning, I was like, I want, I don't want to come on here every day and like make a pitch for Brave Moms. I want people to know God through Jesus Christ as he is, because I believed so many lies about who he is. And that is really what this is about at its core, is coming to understand through every cell in our being who he really is, because he is the best parent. He is the best spouse. he is the one who lives in his identity and on purpose. And if those are the things we need, there's no anxiety, guilt, ADHD, bipolar going to touch that reality. So I'm just so excited to hear you say that you were meeting with this friend who talked to you about control. I had actually never heard that part of the story before, because this is one of the things about God. This is one of those beliefs that we blow up around here, is that God has no desire to control you. And he actually celebrates and honors your freedom. And so then quickly we jump to, I know I jumped to, when I would wrestle over control, it would be like, well, then who's going to tell my kids how to live? Because if I don't control them, all these things are about to go wrong. If I don't insinuate something to my husband, if I don't coerce or manipulate the situation so that he gets to the right answer, I don't know what's about to happen here. If I stop pressing him to be kind to me, we're not going to sleep together anymore. And if we don't sleep together anymore, we're not going to have a marriage. So how does this work without control? And really, I think I love that you highlighted that, because that's the first leap into this journey, is recognizing God does not seek to control you, and his model of relationship is not one that is controlling at all. It's 100% freedom, responsibility, and insignificance. And he is full of compassion and empowering us to become who he really designed. And building that trust in ourselves and that trust in others, that that eternity is set in the hearts of mankind. They will find their own drive to do things in purity and to do things with integrity and to be honest. That's like such a huge part of everyone in here. All of our stories unfolding is rediscovering again and again that actually is inside the people that we love. And we got to let them go down that road. And we got to let them make stupid decisions and find out where that's going to get them, without like any told you so kind of vibe. It is so much fun to watch. Okay, so can you talk about, if there is a turning point with the Lord through your journey here, if there was a turning point with the Lord that you want to share, or just tell us what it's like now. Tell us what that journey was like for someone who's listening. I remember I listened to, I followed a number of emotionally healthy kind of protocols or programs or podcasts. I listened to so much stuff. I was anybody a lifelong learner. I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to crack this code. I'm going to listen to hundreds of hours of YouTube until I get it. Anybody? I read all the books. I signed up for all the conferences. I did all the tapes. And it didn't work. But I remember hearing about going from like living like an orphan, empty and alone, and scrapping for what I needed and feeling like I was just surviving and there's never quite enough, to living a life not for love, not performing to be loved one day, but from love, overflowing with joy and abundance, overflowing with truth and compassion, knowing exactly what I'm doing day to day, having more than enough to give. And people talking about this journey, like you're going to make a journey. And that was lost on me. I remember hearing about that. Like, that's what I need. I need to know how loved I am. My kids need to know how loved they are. That's not going to happen unless I figure it out. So what we do in here is we laid out the steps for the journey, but I think it would be hard as a listener, if you're hearing about this and you're feeling like you were feeling before, to think that's even possible for them. So I would love to hear you just talk about the supernatural, like what God has done and what he can do. I just want to hear more about your journey and the hope of the journey. Like I want to hear about what your life is like now. But you get what I'm saying? I want to like hope for the walk there, because it's a walk, right? All right, you're on wherever
Yeah.
you want to go with that.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, I remember one night in particular where I was just so broken and just crying and just a mess, and so sad and so tired and so confused about what even to do next, because exactly like you said, like trying to reading, learning, like I'll do anything to be the mom that the best mom I can be for my kids, doing all of those things. And all of it just got more and more confusing, honestly, and just was not working. And the more that night, I remember feeling so tired and so sad and so just a mess. And the more realizing that night that the more I tried, I was actually now making things worse. Like I was trying so hard and I was so miserable, and everybody in my family was like worse because I was around. And that felt so sad. And so I remember feeling so much shame and kind of this really dark place of what am I even here for? And would they be better if I just wasn't even here? And that was just such a hopeless, scary, um, sad place. And really surrendering the control of them and surrendering myself to the Lord that I needed him, and that he, I needed his healing and his help. And, um, yeah, I remember that so clearly. And it feels so different than today. And I never would have thought that today could be so hopeful. And life circumstances have stayed the same and in a lot of ways gotten more challenging. But I feel completely different today. So any woman that um feels feels like that, there's so much hope.
Yes, let's go.
And
I have,
that's the beginning of the journey. Like it's
yeah,
so sad and scary, but it's actually the place the like sun was shining through that moment of like this is where healing begins.
yeah, so amazing. So the tools that we use continue to bring me. Hi, my name is Katie. I am the founder and the CEO of Brave Moms Academy, and the tools that we use continue to bring me to a place where I end and God begins. And so, can you talk a little bit about the practical skills that you've learned, how you implement this day to day that really started to make a change for you? Like, what does this look like with your kids? And I know I'm like behind the curtain back here. I'm like, I know the mission and the passion and the purpose that you get to live with now. I could cry. I want them to hear um, just some of where your mindset is now, what your life is like, and what your connection with God is like, and what your life in your family is like. But could you just talk about those two things, like the practical that has changed? How do you operate differently in your family and with anyone, like in your relationships, and how do you see your life now? Like, talk about that hope. So, two things.
Yeah, okay. So I think what really made BMA stand out and made it so clear that it's what I needed was that it was a whole operating system change. It was a whole foundation and anchor change. And I had been trying a lot of tools. They were kind of like the pictures on the wall or the color of the paint on the wall. And there was no floor in my house. There was no foundation. And so BMA gives a foundation. And then there's uh, some of the tools even are similar, but they weren't working before because I didn't have the emotional foundation and the identity foundation in myself to be able to implement them. So that has been a huge thing, the emotional and identity piece, translating into the words I use and the presence I have with my children and in marriage and other relationships. I think a big thing day to day practically is knowing like where I'm headed, like what do I want to use my life for? What do I want to spend my day doing? And then making decisions based on that with my children, and using language of like what I'm going to do and having self control over myself and mattering over myself and being able to lead them into that. Because if I don't know where I'm going, I can't lead them. And so that has been just a really big practical thing. And then things like choices and other things that tools I tried before now are really useful and really clear because I'm able to know confidently why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm able to give them the freedom without feeling like I need to control them for them to be okay.
Oh my
And
goodness.
allowing them to learn on their own. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's been really
You
good.
just said something huge because a lot of women ask me, like, how do I know the difference between a limit or a natural consequence and a punishment? Or where is the boundary supposed to be? Or like, one thing I dealt with my kids for years was them just, I call it hassling. They're just talking at me all day. And I felt so guilty that I wasn't an endless stream of being so excited to listen. And it turns out I only have so much listening to offer. And so communicating in a way that helps them understand, like, hey, you really have my full attention right now, versus actually my attention's on something else, and knowing that it's good for them to not have access to me right now. But what you just said there was so key. You know why. So you can follow through. I was struggling to follow through because my only why was I'm losing my mind, or my why. So that's like an excuse. I'm like asking them to kind of serve me, but that's not what I wanted. Or my why is I know I want them to be responsible or disciplined, but then I don't know where the line is. I want them to be responsible. How? I want them to be disciplined. In what way? So, and really that's going to come down to boundary work, is knowing, like you said, what my value is, how I'm uniquely wired, what my unique values are, and what I'm here to do. And once I know that, I know where the line is. Like, hey, kiddo, I'm done talking now because I'm getting on a Zoom call with Sarah so she can tell her story of transformation to the world. So, very clear. Suddenly the line makes sense. So, I just love that you said that. And I love also the different expression of um, for every woman, that's going to be different. So your reasons for moving on and being done listening are different than mine. And they will continue to change as we go through our lives, but we will always have the joy of being connected to God and his purpose for us. And that is the contagious wildfire for our family. Is people start, at first they're not happy that we're setting a limit, and then they're like, wait a minute, what is she so excited about? Why are her eyes lit up again? Why does she go to bed early and get up early? What is she working out for? She's got a fire in her, and I want some. And that is that eternity set in the hearts of the people around us. They will catch on and want what we have. So tell me about the hope and the mindset that you live in today. And then we're going to hit it. And actually, you and a handful of students we're going to meet in a second. So go ahead. Tell the
Yeah.
woman what she can have. Tell our listeners what's possible for them.
Yeah, I love that so much. What you just said about how and why we make decisions, I feel like that confidence in knowing what I'm going to do and why I'm going to do it, and not feeling confused or uncertain about that, and that it's okay and it's good. It's how it's God has made me, that my strengths and weaknesses um can be pressed into in front of my kids. I can do things I enjoy, and that's actually what's best for them. And they will, you know, the differences in me that might be different for another mom are how God has made us. And that is part of the equation and part of how we can lead and love our kids. And it's in line with who we are. And so that is a huge transformation. Um, and I think before, the outcome of my children, like I was doing things to make my kids emotionally healthy or to make my kids feel loved. And when it felt like they weren't, then it was all so shaky and that foundation was gone. And now I'm able to focus on, like, what kind of parent do I want to be and how do I want to act around my children, and releasing control of those outcomes, and having so much freedom in that, and then seeing my kids grow up into that freedom and make their own choices is just so exciting. And it just feels like there's so much adventure and so much. I felt so trapped before. I felt like I didn't have options. I felt like I was stuck. It felt like a prison. And now it feels like there's so much choice and agency and ability I have to take action over my life and what I want to do and be, and how I can lead my kids in that. And it's just really hope and joy filled in a way that I never thought possible.
Oh my word. Sarah, I could listen to you talk all day. honestly. I'm not saying that because I have to segue into us ending. I do, but I just like, can you come back very soon on a Thursday or a Friday? I feel like we need a Friday to do like a good long just conversation about your life, because what I've watched in you is a almost when we met, almost like a deer in the headlights. Like, I don't really know what's going on here. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even really know what I'm signing up for, but I have to do something. Lost, so lost. And it's been such a joy to get to know you and unpack all those layers and hear the real story of the thinking that you were living with, so we could line it up with what God believes about you, which happens to be what's true. Whatever he believes, that's what's true. And just watch you step into this place where you are certain that you are the right mom for your kids. I remember wondering if I had just kind of made kids by accident. And I was sure that it probably wasn't me that was going to lead them to be overcomers or lead them to be, live out the gifts and the calling inside of them. And I think for my life, the thing that has so dramatically changed when it comes to parenting is I know I'm the right mom for them. And if anyone knows my story, I have made enormous, catastrophic mistakes with my kids. I'll tell that story one day on this podcast if you stay tuned. I have done horrendous things that hurt them so badly, but I live with every cell in my being knowing I am the right mom for them. And that is because day to day, I'm watching God move through our relationship. And I see that in you now, this passion and energy that comes from, I know I'm in the right place at the right time. And these are my people. And it's my job to train them. And they're going to get somewhere good because God sent me and he sent them to me. So, I just love it. I wish we could talk for 3 more hours. And we are going to go talk again in a meeting right now. Y'all, if you are listening and you need what Sarah's talking about, we now have Brave Moms Academy now has a membership open, and there are 15 spots open in May only, with a coaching call every single week to work out the steps of your curriculum, which is 12 communication skills layered one at a time, because that's how we grow. So you can listen to like a short audio, practice a skill in real time, and you come to a call and modify what you're saying, and what you're saying will change who you're being. It is a miracle we watch over and over and over again. Right now, the investment for that membership is the lowest it will ever be. So check it out. It's in the description below if you need help. You could also reach out to me at Kate for Reels on Instagram. I'm happy to have a conversation with you about whether that's right for you or whether it will help. I will be honest with you. If it won't help, I will send you somewhere else. And subscribe to this. Please share it with a friend. I'm trying to say all the things that they should do. Sarah knows, she's behind the scenes. We are practicing teaching and talking about this every day. So I'm a newbie. YouTube is a new place for us. Thank you for coming along the journey. And thank you for engaging Sarah's story with us today. We will have her back. If you want to have her come back, please tell us in the comments, because then we'll just be more motivated to get her back faster. Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your story today. And as always, I know that you and I are in agreement that the reason this was possible for you is because 2,000 years ago, Christ died on a cross to take all the punishment for who we are so that we could become all the glory and all the joy that he designed for us to be ahead of time. So we honor you, Lord, and we thank you for today. And we will see you all tomorrow.